All right, thank you. We're going to get started today. Thank you all. We have Mayor Keller here today and Chief Medina. They will be talking about our retention and recruiting efforts. With that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Keller.
Well, thank you and good morning, especially to our cadets. For us, this is always a special occasion when we're about to graduate a round of cadets. And Chief and I will be doing the Chief's Run with them tomorrow, another long-standing tradition. But we wanted to focus a little bit today. We've been getting a lot of, as usual, inquiries and questions just about where we're at with respect to things like recruiting and retention. And I want us to take us back just initially to some of the challenges. When we came in, we had extremely small recruiting classes right before this administration came in. I think one year there was less than 20, and we saw the ranks being depleted. And we said that we're going to build those ranks again. And it's been tough. It's been a challenge, especially with everything that has been happening both in our country and in our city and in our department over the last 7 years. But over the last few years, we have really began to rebuild the ranks. And it's been wonderful relief for our officers in the field, and I think also a sign of hope for our community. And so to touch on sort of where we've come most recently, I think it was now almost 3 years ago when the chief and I decided that we've got to work on two sides of the staffing equation. The recruiting side, which we'd been working on and getting about 100 new officers every year, but also the retention side because we'd been losing so many. And so now we're sort of seeing the fruits of that. And to give you some statistics, basically in 2001, if we go back to that year, we had 63 resignations and we had 97 retirements. And we know those are always going to happen. We're always going to have retirements, always going to have resignations. And actually, we always have some people who are sort of asked to leave and so forth. But as we fast forward to 2022, only 59 resignations and 49 retirements. And then we go to 2023, last year, our lowest amount of resignation in years, only 40 resignations and only 35 retirements. And so this is a combination of things. This is about the change in culture and the confidence that's building at APD. It's also about the retention package financially that we've put in place. It's about the largest raises that we've given our officers actually in the history of the department. And so all of these things together are helping, and it's also progress on the CASA. You know, when you're 92% compliant, that sends a big signal about the leadership and where we're going. Now, look, we acknowledge the investigation that's going on, but, you know, roughly as we understand it, that is a small section of this department, and it does not reflect on things like these new cadets that are coming in, obviously, or on the fact that we're 92% compliant with respect to the CASA. So these are bigger picture things that are driving this department to bigger and better staffing levels. And so this past Monday, we announced our latest APD Cadet Class, which is 54 cadets, 2 more than this class behind me that's going to be graduating very soon. And so again, one of our largest in history. And that also is an extension of the fact that our classes are getting much more diverse, which is a good thing. There's still majority homegrown right here from Albuquerque, New Mexico and the surrounding area. But now we're getting cadets from as far away as Australia and Puerto Rico. And we also know that these officers are coming in. They're going to be going into on-the-job training, this batch behind me, and then we'll be working with that new cadet class that's starting very soon. So we know that in aggregate, this is why our ranks continue to rise. Now, it's a slow rate, but as folks remember, we're using things like technology and civilianization to continue to fight crime and keep us safe at our current staffing level. But there is nothing more helpful and hopeful for our city than to see our rank and file continue to increase in number. And that's what we're seeing on both fronts, from retention, which has increased, and recruiting, which continues to increase. So with more on this, our Chief of Police, Harold Medina.
I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. And you just heard Mayor give some statistics about retention and people separating from the Albuquerque Police Department. And recently, in the wake of this investigation that Mayor talked about, that we're not going to shy away from is occurring with the Albuquerque Police Department. And it is a handful of individuals who have chosen to disgrace this department. But I think the most important thing to remember is, you know, one of the things that always comes up is like, how does this impact morale? And a lot of times I hear people with anecdotal information. Ooh, morale is bad at APD. I spoke to this one officer or these two officers. Given the fact that you see what's happened with our retention, we've gone from 155 or so people leaving a year in 2000. At one point in time, I think Mayor said 221. In 22, that number was down to almost 110. And last year, we had some really low numbers. 35 retirements and 45 people who chose to resign from the department. And some of those, like I've said from the very beginning, some people probably should resign and leave the department because they are not about the culture in the department that we're building. But that alone shows, and I hope that answers everybody who questions how is the morale of the Albuquerque Police Department. People are choosing to stay here for a lot of reasons. And we want to make sure that we incentivize and that we reward those individuals who are staying. And that's why Mayor and myself came up a couple years ago with the retention package that has been extremely successful. But we've looked at this in a lot of ways. We've looked at it at both ends. How do we retain people at the end? How do we retain people and get people in? Some of the changes we made last year alone are responsible for the large academy classes that we're getting that are outpacing most departments, if not all departments in this state. We have larger classes than anybody else that I know of in the state because of the fact that we have a great program, we have a great department, and our officers are paid well coming in, and they're rewarded for the longer that they stay representing the Albuquerque Police Department. We'll continue to make these changes and ensure that our officers feel supported, that they know that this department's moving in the right direction. Retention and recruitment are just a part of it, but there are a lot of other things we're doing that are enabling our officers to feel that this is a place they want to stay at. We've rolled out a new process of making sure that our officers are able to have collateral duties, and we're paying them for that. We have more individuals collaterally working with the horse-mounted unit, more officers collaterally working with homicide, with auto theft. This rollout of this collateral program is our way of making sure that our officers in the middle feel that their careers are moving forward. We have just as many field officers going through the detective academy, prepping them for the future, that we have regular detectives going through that. And that is our goal, continue to make officers feel that there is movement within the department, that they can achieve goals personally within the department. They can strive to go to other places and fulfill personal needs career-wise within the police department. So we'll continue to move the department in that direction, make sure we're innovative and bringing new ideas. The diversity and the fact that a lot of these officers are homegrown is important to me. I know I was recently at the meal with the families of the pre-academy, and we'll talk about the pre-academy a little bit in a second here. But you know, I was delighted to walk in and see a familiar face from my hometown and know that their child was joining the ranks of the Albuquerque Police Department. For me, this is about New Mexico. We are a great department. We can help people move along great and live great lives and have a great career. And to see that our small towns in New Mexico are also sending their kids to join the ranks of the Albuquerque Police Department, to me, is just another important step in our advancement and the fact that we represent New Mexico in a lot of ways within our Albuquerque Police Department. Our pre-academy, it's something that we didn't invent. We saw other departments do it. We put the Albuquerque twist to it. And last academy class, we saw the lowest attrition rate from an academy in years. And we like to think that that had a big part of it. We also passed the most people physical fitness-wise into the academy. Typically, we saw almost 24% of our applicants lost. And because of the pre-academy and the things we're doing to gear them up and ready them for that first test, last academy class, I think that was somewhere near 10%. We could get numbers if anybody needs them on that. So we'll continue to work, be innovative, and find ways for our cadets to succeed. And I spoke to this cadet class. It is very important to me that we create a culture of success at the Albuquerque Police Academy. I will not tolerate anything but our instructors being here to positively motivate, inspire, and lead our cadets to success. The days of when I went through the academy 28 years ago are gone, where we're not there for that purpose of inspiring, motivating, and getting our cadets to succeed. It's not the academy's job to just weed out people because of their personalities or they don't like somebody. It's our academy's job to prepare them, create the culture we want within that individual. And if that individual is not fit to wear this badge, they will weed out during the OJT process or other processes that we have in place. So I want to thank all the men and women that are standing at this podium with me today for taking that chance, wanting to make a difference within the community, and joining the ranks of the Albuquerque Police Department. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? No? No questions? Okay, thank you all. We're gonna, go ahead. Did someone have one?
Can you reiterate about the morale? Just talk about the morale, because that's one of the biggest concerns right now with the...
You know, I stay in contact with officers. I think that's one thing that I've told my officers over and over again. I was on this department 14 years. I had obtained the rank of lieutenant before I had a sit-down conversation with my chief. And I think anybody who's worn this badge can attest to that's typically how it goes, unless you knew the chief as he went up the ranks. Once a month, I randomly bring in a number of officers to breakfast at the chief's office. And I can tell you, when I first took over chief, officers were not shy to tell me how they felt. They told me, and I told them, yeah, I know this place is very difficult right now. We probably used other words that I can't say in public, but we recognized we needed to make change, and we made a lot of changes. And the tone of those breakfasts and what those officers say and how they feel has greatly changed over the past 3 years. And what I used to hear concerns about the settlement agreement and we can't do our job, their biggest concern is, Chief, we need more officers so we can continue doing what we're doing. The fact that less people are leaving this department is a testament to morale. On Wednesday, I think it was, no, Tuesday, Mike, Tuesday I had lunch with about 30 ambassadors at the zoo as they were having a thing. And you know, the number one things the officers told me was, it is nice to have a chief who sits up there and stands and push back on others and represents us. It is good to have a chief that talks and supports us and defends us. And I will continue to defend this department. I will continue to defend the officers that are doing a good job within the department. And I will continue to hold those that are disgracing our profession accountable for what they're doing. And that's the balancing job that a chief needs to attain is, I can't always defend us, but I could always make sure that those that are responsible for misconduct, that they're held accountable. And we will continue to do that. And we will continue to communicate and work with our officers, have briefings so that they could talk to us, have ask the chief emails so they could ask questions, and make sure that we're accessible as leadership so that they feel supported and that they know that we're confident in the work that they do. Yes.
This is a portion of the class that's getting ready to graduate. How many will be graduating?
54? 52. 52.
And the next class is going to be around the same, you said?
We're hoping that we have a low attrition rate again. And like I said, I spoke to the academy, like this is about us succeeding. And Mark, you went through the APD Academy. You are one of the ones who can also attest to what I've told my staff is, I remember the people that were singled out by the academy staff during my time, and you knew they weren't going to finish the academy. And I think that you could attest that you saw that during your academy class also. And we're going to stick to the guns that we are here for our cadets to succeed and for them not to prematurely judge them and weed them out. Yes, sir.
You were mentioning on the diversity of the graduating class or the cadets. Could you mention or know maybe how many of them are bilingual or speak another language other than?
Es muy importante que nosotros podemos tener oficiales que pueden hablar español porque nosotros tenemos muchas personas en Albuquerque que hablan español y pienso que es 5 o 6 oficiales que pueden hablar perfectamente español. So nosotros estamos excitados de ellos van a estar trabajando con la comunidad. Gracias. Thank you.